In this video, I'm going to show you an amazing tool for map animations. Now, this is called Google Earth Studio. All you need is a Google account and you will be able to sign up for this. So go ahead, sign up for Google Earth Studio, and this is the preview, or you can say the dashboard that will appear. Now, the reason I am showing you Google Earth Studio is that this is an amazing tool for map animations. Compared to using images, this is more interesting, or you can say it gives a more 3D look. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is using Google Earth Studio along with DaVinci Resolve. Now I will make a map animation using Google Earth Studio, but I will add some text and different effects using DaVinci Resolve. So right now, what I need you to do is, if you want to follow this, you can just go over to this link, and I will link this in the description so you can click on that. All you need is a Google account, and that's it. So right now I have this dashboard in front of me, and over here it says open project and also blank project. Now I'm going to be using the blank project. And over here, you can just give this any name. You can set the dimensions, duration. You can also use Earth, Moon, Mars. So that's also an option. But right now, we're just using Earth. And you can also set the frame rate. So I'm going to lower this to 24 and let's hit start. So this is the map of Earth, as you can see. Now over here, if you zoom in by using your mouse scroll wheel, you can see that this is the area that will show on the screen. So these are the guidelines that you can use. And of course, there are some other settings as well. Camera, top, north. There are many different settings. You can even use this, okay? So this is also an option. If you want to use the top view, you can use that. If you want to use north, let's see what's at north. This is something at north, but by the way, these are the different settings. That's just what I wanted to show you. But right now I'm just using camera because this will give us a nice 3D effect. Over here you will see some options, but I will talk about them later on. Right now I just want to show you how this works in a very simple format. Over here we have some keyframes and timeline, you can say. And if you have been watching my videos, this looks quite similar to DaVinci Resolve. Quite similar. If you have the knowledge of video editing, this is a piece of cake. So with that being said, let's start something. Let's start some animation. So for example, let's say you want to move from USA to, let's say, maybe China. So what you can do here is just zoom in. Let's just zoom in somewhere around here. Okay. And create keyframes. So in order to create keyframes, all you need to do is just press on this button. And this will add these keyframes for longitude, latitude, altitude, camera rotation, which has the pan and the tilt. Now let's go over at maybe 30. Zoom out a little bit and create another keyframe. So this will give us a zoom out effect. Now let's go over to maybe 70 and just move all the way to China, somewhere around here. And let's create a keyframe and then at maybe 80, let's zoom in right here. And let's go all the way to the end and let's zoom in a little bit, but let's also tilt. Okay, so this will give a nice effect. Now let's create another keyframe and this is it. Now let's see how this looks. You can just press space on your keyboard or you can just press this button right here. Perfect. So let's just export this. Right now, you can see that if I play this, you won't see a very smooth movement. So if you want to see how this looks in a smoother movement, you can go over here to the view and then over here, just go over to preview quality and just set this to low. So if this is high, it won't look very nice. So let's just go with this. Let's render this. So once you have once you're satisfied with, okay, this is the clip that I want, you can just click on render right here. You can set the name of the project. And one thing that you will get that is a drawback, or maybe a drawback, a potential drawback, if you are not looking for something like this, is that you will get this watermark right here. But you can, of course, move this anywhere you want, and you can't move this out of the screen. So you do need to put this right here. So that's just something that you are stuck with. Now, there are two options. You can either use image sequence, you can then use videos. And for videos, if you want to export this as a video, it's better to use the cloud render. So if you click on this, this will be the option for cloud render. So make sure to keep it at cloud render because that's a better option. Now, over here, there are just some more settings, text alignment and all of these things, but I would recommend not to do too much right here. We have a nice looking animation and that's all we want. But make sure that the map style is clean if you don't want anything, because we want to add text ourselves. We don't want Google to add text for us. So if you do not want that, if you want to edit it in DaVinci Resolve later on, it would be better to make sure that this is clean. But that totally depends on your preference. And then finally, the texture quality. So make sure this is high. Now click on submit and this will just go over to the cloud render. Now how to check how this is rendering or how much time this is taking? You can just click on render and let me just pause this. Click on cloud renders and you can see that this is queued now. So this will take some time. I will pause the video right here until this renders. Okay, so once your animation has been completed, you will see that it says delivered and you can click over here to download this. Make sure there is also like an expiration date, December 3rd for me. So you need to download it before that. And one other thing is that you will also receive an email once this has been completed. So that's how you will know that this has been completed. If in case you do not open this renders, you don't really have to open this. You will get an email once this has been completed. Now what I'm going to be doing is heading over to DaVinci Resolve, and over there we will add some more, let's say, text and some more effects. So let me open up DaVinci Resolve. So I went ahead and imported a clip in DaVinci Resolve. Now we need to create a timeline. So right click over here and create a new timeline. Okay, so for this one, you need to check your project settings. Unselect this, go over to format and make sure you have the same settings of the frame rate that you had on Google when you were rendering the animation, map animation. So if you remember, I set that at 24. So I'm going to set this timeline frame rate at 24 as well. By the way, this is at default. This is already set by default at 24. So you can just use project settings and create it. But make sure to check it once at least so that you can confirm that this is at the same frame rate that you also have for your map animation. And for example, if you had that in 30 frame rates per second, make sure that this is also the timeline is also at 30 frame rates per second. So make sure you check them. Now I'm going to drag in this map animation and let's just play this. So you can see nice looking animation. So what can we do with this? Well, first of all, we can add a text. Now, one thing you will notice here is the watermark. Like I told you, there is one way to remove this. So you can just zoom this in and this will be gone. But again, it's good to give credit to whatever the platform that you're using. So Google over there said that you have to have this in your video. So I would also recommend you to do that because I know a lot of people will do this. That's why I already showed you that yes, you can zoom in and cut this uh, watermark, but it's better to give them the credit. Now let's start our animation. Go all the way to 0 and right click and you will get the option for open in Fusion page. What this does is it changes your clip into a Fusion composition. So now you can add graphics and work with this Fusion tab. Now the first thing you need to do here is to track. Because if you're going to add a text into this sort of an animation where you have kind of a 3D rotation and a lot of movement, you need to show a text that moves along with the map. Because right now, if I add a text, Let me just connect it with the media in, and let's just type in USA. So if I play this, this is not tracking, this is just on the screen. So we need to track it. For this one, make sure you select your media in and press Control Space and search for tracker. Add a tracker node. And over here, you will notice that we have this green box. Now, what this is basically simply just a reference point. So this, whatever place that you set this on your, you can say view, this will work as the reference point and track that point. So let me just show you. I'm going to zoom this in and I'm going to just position this right here. And as you can see over here, it's a green place, same kind of color. So I'm going to use this as the reference point. And you can also shrink this window. So you can shrink this and let's just set this somewhere around here like this. Okay. And only do this for the inner box. Make sure you don't touch the outer box. So first of all, make sure you change the adaptive mode to every frame and change the path center to drag center append. Now, make sure you are at 0 frames over here and click on this track forward. Let me just zoom out so that we can now see the whole process. So now click on track forward. And here you will see that this has tracked and I'm just going to select this stop tracking because we don't want to track the whole video because that map is already out of the screen. So I'm going to stop this right here where the map of USA is out of the screen and I'm going to just say yes right here. So you will see we have some keyframes right here. And if I did not select that option or if I did not select this pause or stop tracking, it would just simply add more keyframes and we don't really need that. And even right here, you will see that we don't need these keyframes right here. So I'm going to show you how to remove that as well. Over here, you will notice that our tracking, you just notice this point right here. So this point right here is exactly where the map is now. And it is giving a good tracking. So right here, when this moves out of the screen, somewhere around, let's say, let me just move this. So you can move around and see where this map is going out of the screen. So this point right here goes out of the screen at, let's say, 41. So at 40, I'm going to keep the keyframes right here up till 40. And for that, let's go over to keyframes and make sure you select this fit option and then select this tracker. Now over here, you will see some keyframes up till the point, the red marker that you have right here. Make sure you select all of these and then hit backspace. So these will get deleted. Now you can press Control on your keyboard and use the mouse scroll wheel to zoom in and delete these ones as well. All right. So we only need tracking up till this point, as you can see. And now let's close the keyframes window. And now I'm going to show you how to add a text. So for example, you just drag in this text and connect this with the tracker and type in, let's say, USA. Now you will notice that nothing happens, right? You don't see any text. But in order to show that text, go over to tracker and click on operation. Then change the operation to match move. And now you will see we have this USA. And if we play this, this will move along with the keyframe, with the frames that we set. So this is doing a good job of tracking. And now our text is moving along with the movement of this position, you can say. Now you can go over to tracker and there are some settings that you can set from here. Over here in the operations, you will see that we have some position, rotation, scaling. So all of these options are, for example, you want this text to scale along with the scaling of this point. So if I unselect this, this will not scale up. This will just remain at the size that it is. So for example, if you play this now, you will see that it is just being there like it was. But if I add scaling, it might increase in size. But right now for this one, it is not really making any change. So it doesn't matter if you do this or not, but this may be different for you. This may be scaling upwards for you. Now you can also unselect rotation and position as well, but if you unselect everything, this will just go away. Make sure you have the position on. So at least have the position on. So now you will play this and it's working perfectly. Okay, great. Okay, so what if you want to add more things to your text right here? For this one, I would recommend to add a multi-merge and then connect this text to the multi-merge right here. And now let's say you want to add a box. Okay, first of all, also just connect this multi-merge with the tracker. And now let's add a background so that we can just add like a box or a boundary around this text. And let's also add this rectangle. Connect the rectangle with the background and the background with the multi-merge. Now in the background, let's change the color to white. You can use any color, of course. Then in the rectangle, let's unselect solid and change the border width to 0.01. Or let's just go with 0.001 like this. Now you can use the width and the height settings right here to position this. So somewhere around here works for me. All right. And I'm going to just position this right here and this rectangle as well. And you will notice that this won't affect anything. So for example, if I play this now, this is just there. This is not like changing a lot. It's not giving any errors. It's just there. It seems like it's moving with the map. Perfect. So now let's say we want to add like a line right here. For this, let's add another background. And I'm going to add this polygon. Connect this with the background and the background with the multi-merge. Now the background color, again, I'm going to use white. And in the polygon, I'm going to unselect solid and just add a border width of, let's say, 0.01. And now let's go ahead and connect this to our point. And if you think that this is more, you can just go with 0.001. Just the same settings we have for the rectangle as well. So over here, this looks nice. And if you move this, you will see that so far so good, right? So far so good. And you can also add like a dot right here, but I'm just going to leave this as it is. Of course, you can add more things to it, and this will track along with the map that we set to be tracked. So this works perfectly. And now let's say that over here, we are moving out of the screen, but you will notice one thing. You will notice that we have this arrow or this line showing. So one way of doing that is to just hide this, or you can just blur this out. So for example, you can select your multi-merge and then click on this blur. This is one way of doing it, but you can of course use the opacity to or blend to fade all of these. So let's use blur. Over here, we are going outside right here at let's say 40. So I'm going to set the keyframe, set the blur size all the way to 100 and create a keyframe right here. And over here at let's say 35, I'm going to change this to 0. So if you play this, it seems like it is fading now. Perfect. All right, so now over here, when it comes to the China part, now we need to track this again as well. So I'm going to add another tracker, press Control Space, search for tracker, and this will add another tracker for you. And this won't affect the tracker that we already have. This will just create more tracking if we want that. So right here at let's say 80, when we are landing on in China, now we have this center right here. Let's just move this around to, let's say, somewhere around here. You can also use this island right here, but let's just move this to somewhere around here. Okay. And now we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to select the tracker. Again, same settings, every frame, track center, and then just select this option that says track forward. So if we do this, you can see that, okay, this is looking nice. This is matching the position of the point that we set on the map. And this is going to be simple because this is just a simple zoom in. So nothing really, but you will see that there was a slight tilt. So it may work, it may not work, but depending on if it works for you, that's good. But there is one way to change the positions if there is a problem for you. So we have this tracking done, and let's just see that how this works. So it looks good. It looks perfect. Let's just test this with a text. So let's type in China and just connect this with the tracker 2. And in the tracker 2, go over to operations and select match move. So let's see how this looks. Okay, perfect. This looks nice. And for example, you have a problem in the clip, but I doubt that there will be a problem. But if you ever face a problem where the keyframe, some keyframe right here is going out of the screen, you can just go back to trackers and manually set the tracking by going over to track center and just changing the X and Y to see where it fits. So that's something that can help you if you have a problem. But if you have these settings over here that I have, you might not get any problem. So over here, you will see that our text is done. Now let's see where we're going to add China in, because we don't want China to be always beginning from the start, right? We need it to appear somewhere around here. So let's go over at 80. And by the way, let's also add the background and all of the stuff. So I'm going to add this multi-merge, connect that with the text 2, and then multi-merge, let's connect that with the tracker. And let me just move this right here. All right, so now let's add in a background, and I'm also going to add a rectangle for this one. Again, same thing that we did for the USA part. Unselect the sorted 0.001. Let's use the width and the height to position this right here. By the way, you can move the text also. So let's move this somewhere around here and the rectangle somewhere around here. Use the width and the height to position this. So this works for me, and now I'm going to add that line. So let's drag in another background, and this time polygon. Connect these with the multi-merge. Set the background color white, and then border width at 0.001. Unselect the solid. And now let's connect this. So right here, I'm going to just add this line right here and somewhere around here. Okay, so perfect. Now let's see how this looks. Okay, perfect. And let me just adjust this a little bit more, the width right here, and move this right here. And also let me position this China right here. Okay, looks good. Now, how to hide this? Well, we're going to do the same thing that we did right here. We're going to use blur. But again, you can use anything else that you want. Blur is something that looks good and it's a nice effect. So I'm going to use blur right here at 80. I'm going to create a keyframe right here and change this to, let's say, 100. And then right here at 85, I'm going to change this to 0. So let's see how this all looks. And now let's go back to the main timeline. Awesome, this looks nice. So you can see that we can add these text, different graphics on the clip that we generated from Google Studio. So this was it for this video. I hope you will find this video useful, and I will see you in the next video.